I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I don't remember a time when curling.
We asked Saskatchewan what they know about 5G.
More speed, more innovation.
It's going to make our lives a whole heck of a lot easier.
This is what 5G looks like.
Better, faster.
Sounds like one more G. Sounds pretty good.
I don't know what it means.
All you really need to know is the future of 5G is here and will continue improving through investments in network technology.
Welcome to the RBC Dominion Securities Western Canadian Showdown. We are very proud to sponsor this event for our community and surrounding area. We wish everyone good curling and best of luck.
We asked Saskatchewan what they know about 5G.
More speed, more innovation.
It's going to make our lives a whole heck of a lot easier.
This is what 5G looks like.
Better, faster.
Sounds like one more G. Sounds pretty good.
I don't know what it means.
All you really need to know is the future of 5G is here and will continue improving through investments in network technology.
Welcome to the RBC Dominion Securities Western Canadian Showdown. We are very proud to sponsor this event for our community and surrounding area. We wish everyone good curling and best of luck.
Once again to the Curling Stadium live coverage from the RBC Dominion Securities Western Showdown. It is Men's Championship Monday after Women's Championship Sunday last night. Crowned Xenia Schwaller as the champion of this year's event. Congratulations to them. We're down to just the men here on Monday. Quarterfinal action this morning. And we're having a few technical issues. Sorry about that. Men's quarterfinals this morning. Brad Jacobs Rylan Kleiter in this feature matchup. It is Jacobs with the hammer here in this opening end of play. We've got rocks in play. We're on to second stones already. My name's Sean Joyce. Connor Sims joining me as well as handling the production here.
Yeah, we're in for a good game today between two of the top teams in Canada. Rylan Kleiter recently making his way up there. And obviously Jacobs is already a well-known team in Canada.
The hit at the back of the rings. Kleiter now sits 2. Jacobs with the call to just play the hit and roll in top of that stone. Makes the hit, rolls just slightly across, and he's got a corner under cover as well. Jacobs now sits 1. Probably room to remove it. Tough for Kleiter to get behind cover, though. Going to have to roll back out in the open. If he tried to roll all the way across the other guard, he'd be in danger of rolling out of the rings. Third stones. This is Joshua Matter. Trevor Johnson, the lead on the brush. Matthew Hall is the second. He's also the vice on this team. Of course, Rylan Kleiter, the skip, and they just rub on the way by. Jacobs sitting 1, a chance to perhaps pick up a deuce here in the opening end of play.
Yeah, both teams here aren't afraid to get things going out of the first end.
Well, and a chance to, I said pick up a deuce, maybe at least a deuce, because he's coming around that same corner. He'll Christmas tree the yellows. It's not going to be easy to remove either one of them. A little discussion at the hack end. So much of the pregame practice goes towards draw to the button, and here they are in the first end trying to cross center, and that's a shot they don't get to play as often, so a little bit of discussion about probably the weight. Mark Kennedy is the third for the Jacobs team. Of course, dueling southpaws at third today. You don't see that a lot. Ben Hebert, the lead on the left. Brett Gallant, the second on the right. And in the house, Brad Jacobs, the skip. Sweeping for curl now. It's got a lot of room by the guard. If they can get it deep enough, it should bury half. Didn't get it in for second shot. Did bury a corner of that rock.
Yeah, not a bad spot there. I just think they preferred to be second shot. It looked like to me they just left it for maybe just a bit too long.
Waiting for it to start curling, and it just didn't have the legs. Kleiter will make a play on that stone at the top of the 12-foot. It might be able to roll into the 8. Certainly not going to have a chance to roll in for shot here. Like to keep this rock in a spot where you could use it if possible. I would argue that's too much roll. Stays for third shot, but I don't see that rock ever being a factor. It's certainly not something that Kleiter is going to be able to use. Another chance for Mark Kennedy to come around that same guard. Line was good coming in after it started to curl. He'd like to be 2 feet deeper and get another quarter of a stone behind cover. Better line coming in if they can get it a little deeper this time. And will just grab a corner of the forefoot. Gets a little bit of that Christmas tree effect, protects a little more of the back one.
Yeah, you can't leave those guys same shot twice. Just make it better on you.
Tough situation for Kleiter. He's looking at the run. There's jam possibilities with the run. Also looking at the freeze to the shot stone at the back, and you're freezing to a stone. You can't even see the face of it, but without last rock in the opening end of play, that's a little scary as well.
Yeah, I mean, he has a couple spots he can put this one. He can come right back down to that Yellowstone, or draw to the, or leave it a little higher onto the top one, I should say.
Harder to get second shot on the top one, but you could. Skip stones here in the first end of this quarterfinal matchup. Rylan Kleiter with his first, drawing against 2 without last rock, looking to freeze the back one. Brushers are staying close. Looks like they're waiting for the line. It's starting to curl now. There it goes. Making a big move now. And he will lock it right on the corner. Brad Jacobs, no chance to remove that on this attempt. So he'll try to come down himself, sit on top of it, and he needs to move the back one just to release that red. There's no way to get it out right now. He needs to create an escape path for it. The nice thing for Brad Jacobs, you lock this on, make a little tap. Your stone's going to be splitting the tee line, if not mostly in front of it. So that same freeze again, if Kleiter elects to play it, would not get him shot rock. He'd have to be a little bit on the corner, and that would give Brad the chance to blast it out. On the brush right out of his hand. Now they back away a bit. He's got to wait for the tap, so they were tighter line to begin with. Wow, gets even just slightly across the face. Taps it. Enough that Jacobs is sitting one, and he's got a path to get that red out. It'll go off the yellow, so he can't pick up the extra one, but Kleiter has to be very careful with this. He can't see all of the yellow one.
Yeah, it's almost forcing Kleiter to have to play the guard here.
They are talking about it.
It's not really something you want to do with 3 yellow counters around your 1 red, but
They'd leave him the button for a draw for 2. They were also worried about whether or not he might play the angle run-in on the yellow guard. And it is Brad Jacobs, so he might. I mean, they're so good at those. There's a lot of risk with it if he chose to play it. The possibility is he could score 4. So they've settled on the guard. Rylan Kleiter with his final stone here in the opening end of play, just trying to protect the little tap back in the middle that could be for at least 3 for Brad Jacobs. Even looking to stagger this a little bit with the one in front of it, just because they don't want to leave Brad Jacobs a chance to run this back and get it that way.
that's the job right there.
Yep. If you've been with us all weekend, you know that there's been a lot of curl towards the middle here in Swift Current. Still a lot of curl the last couple of days, but you know, these rocks were probably conditioned before the event started. There's been a lot of games, a lot of up and down the sheets for all of these rocks, and they're a little bit straighter now. It's still good finish. But you look at that broom location, and that's probably 8 inches to a foot inside of where they would have been taking on Friday when the men started. Brad Jacobs with his final stone. Sitting 1, needs a piece of the button to pick up a deuce here in the opening end of this men's quarterfinal. Cleaning off and on now, looking for a little bit more curl. Line looks good. Touches off his own and stops back of the button. It's 2 points on the board for Brad Jacobs. He's got the early lead. Rylan Kleiter will have last rock in the second.
So with the impact to my business and income, will this delay my retirement?
I know you're worried, Marshall, but based on the original plan we came up with, you're only about 6 months behind.
I thought it would be years, not months.
You should feel good. Remember, you've got a plan.
Thanks.
With change comes questions. See the impact of your money decisions before you make them with RBC Wealth Plan.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's ice pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best brew in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution.
Stronger agronomics, better returns, greater peace of mind. From pre-seed to post-harvest, you can count on the Victory Canola program to keep you
First stone on this second end brought into the top of the 4 foot. And now Rylan Kleiter asking Trevor Johnson to put up the corner guard. We saw rocks in play in the first end. No reason to expect we're not going to see them again here in the second. Now looking for the center guard. There's only just so many ways you can start the end off in a 5 rock free guard zone. You see this pretty commonly. Jacobs throws the first one in, knowing that Kleiter's going to throw the corner guard. Now you guard the stone in the 4 foot. And it looks exactly the same as if you'd have thrown the center, they threw the corner, and then you came around.
Yeah, they just switched up the rhythm a little bit.
And you know, by doing it this way, you know the other team's not going to just come around your center guard. You always get the chance to be the first one around the center. Puts a little more pressure on the team with the last rock. They've got to deal with that rock yet. I've seen a few teams go to the delayed corner tactic, probably more commonly this season than I have seen it in the past, where they'll hit that stone, roll to the corner, and then throw their corner guard on the next one no matter what.
Yeah, I just think with it being the second end, Rylan Kleiter doesn't want to risk a blank here. I find a lot of these teams tend to lean towards making sure they're scoring in the evening ends now.
Looking to come down right to the face. They left some room there. Brad's still going to look for the corner freeze on the red. He wants a way to get it out. They talked about both turns. Rushers were close, just waiting for the line call. They picked it up a little more now. Still moves so big from the hog line in. They almost got to the other corner. If they get that right to the face, they're probably on the other corner. As it is, they've lined everything up. That was the 5th stone of the end. Kleiter could make a play on the guard to now, and it's lined up where, boy, it's hard not to put the red onto the yellow in the 4 foot.
Yeah. Do you guys say, though, some great curl here this weekend? And I'm sure the players appreciate it. I don't know. You probably know who the ice tech is here?
Randy Broughton is the ice tech in Swift Current.
Sure all the players appreciate him this weekend. Made the run back, but left Jacobs a couple options here to run back himself, I guess.
Did, but that was always going to happen. He got rid of the lineup in the middle too. And, you know, if you're Rylan Kleiter, fortunate enough, he didn't leave anything staggered. So he's got ways to deal with the middle.
Yeah, and he also replaced Jacobs' guard with Kleiter guard, so
Looking for the little angle run. Removes the red, rolls over, does leave that yellow Well, 2/3 to 3/4 exposed and a chance for Rylan Kleiter to roll behind. A couple of rocks now on the left-hand side as we look at Rylan.
Matthew Hall, World Junior Champion with Tyler Tardy.
Makes the hit. Nice rolling behind. It is shot rock. Brad Jacobs looking at the run on the yellow onto the red. Can't see all of the yellow. Looks like he can see enough to make that angle.
Yeah, almost just rolled a little bit too far there. For your glider, a little less roll, stay more behind the yellow than the red. Doesn't leave this shot for Jacobs.
Going to be very tight to the guard, actually. So tight that he clips a quarter of it. Removes the guard. Shooter will roll all the way across the house. Does hang on for the bite of the 12-foot. So Jacobs has 3 biters around, but Kleiter's got shot rock and last rock. And a chance to sit 2 here. He's looking at splitting the rings. He's going to go back to the come around in the middle. I get what he's looking at with not wanting to come around. Is you got to be careful not to leave the little raised double. That yellow onto the red is wide open now, and this entire Jacobs team is so good at the run backs. Hard to come around the middle where you wouldn't leave the run double. You might be able to put it flat, but if you're to the top of the button, it's probably there to, there you see, that's what he's talking about. At the top of the button, they'll play the run onto the red, have the yellow come across and kick the shot rock out, and it would probably be buried after that too. So you play the draw to the corner, sit your 2, and then react to whatever the Jacobs team does after. They still might play the little raise and try to roll in behind cover in the center.
Yeah, it's almost lined up right for the rolls. Both rocks to roll that way.
Yeah. Comes down, sits pretty much right on the corner, a little bit of separation, but he has second shot there. No surprise to anyone in the building or watching at home, likely. Brad Jacobs was going to look at playing this little run. We've just been talking about it. Mark wants to see the angles, and I can't blame him for that. That's interesting, Mark. I think looking at just stuff the yellow back, yellow onto the red. Don't worry about rolling that one. Make sure you roll the shooter in for second or third. You could sit 2 after this, and that eliminates the rock over on the corner. If you try to play this to make sure that the yellow rolls towards the center, the shooter probably doesn't get in far enough to be second shot.
Yeah, I think I would be going for the far roll if I was Jacobs here.
Kennedy with his out turn looking to come just across the face. Makes the hit. Does get the shooter in far enough to be second. Did not roll the first stone over enough to sit in behind cover. Kleiter looking at the 2 runs available under the stone in the 12-foot, and just because it's the one that's buried, if you don't get rid of it, you're never bringing that other one back into play. You could play the hit and roll in behind, but once you make the hit and roll in behind, it gets a little tougher still to get rid of that rock in the 12-foot. You've got jam possibilities. If you played the yellow back, there's a chance you get all 3 of them.
Yeah, there's almost a sneaky chance at a blank here.
Yeah, I don't think he's thinking about a blank at all. Even if he was playing the triple up front, yeah, I know what you're thinking. Jacobs makes a play on the one at the back, but then he's still going to have skip stones and a guard of his own color that he could come around. So they talked about all the possibilities. They're going to settle on what looks like, I don't want to say the easiest shot. A hit and roll is never easy, but it's a more commonly played shot, so they've got a better idea how to play this. Made it look easy. Makes the hit,
Yep.
rolls right to the top of the button. Brad Jacobs will look to come around, sit on the face of that stone, maybe slightly on the corner. Might still have a chance to remove it on his last one. They make a lot of these shots look easier than they are. You take a look from that hack end, and it's not just the guard. I mean, it's buried on the guard, but there's so much late movement. That's not the issue. The issue is going to be that stone in the 12-foot, his own stone in the 12-foot. If you're trying to get close to the face of that red, you're going to have to be dangerously close to that yellow going by, because that's well after it's really started to make the big move. Brushes were down pretty early. And that is not just a keep it clean type brush. Making the big move. He's going to have room by the red. It's the yellow in the rings. It's going to be the problem. He's got to get by. He's not going to. And was just that little bit light. Now, with the little rub, well, initially he had a pretty good angle. It spun back in a little bit. I think he's still got a pretty good angle. He can see enough of that yellow to drive it onto the red. And it's a tough rock for Rylan Kleiter to do anything about. He's looking at the triple again. It's the only way he gets rid of the stone that Jacobs just threw, and that stone is in a very dangerous spot. I mean, you could draw around the other side, but Brad's always got that little run on the yellow. They're talking about running the red back as well, but the angles just aren't as good to run the red back. The yellow run, everything's kind of queued up to go for him. You see all the gestures with the broom, and they're worried about the one at the back too. They'd kind of like to keep it in play, and it just looks like this one is queued up where You know, the stone that's fully in the 8-foot goes easy. The one that's fully in the 12-foot kind of looks like it goes between the two reds, and the one at the top looks like it goes over top of everything at the corner. It's just the angles are good and they're close enough together that's fairly predictable. The angle's just not as good if he's trying to run the red back. So Rylan Kleiter with his first here in the second end. He's got last rock, sitting 1, top of the button, looking for the triple on the 3 yellow rocks that present the problem for him. And if he can make it, that actually brings that second shot stone back into play on the side. Leaves 1 at the top 12, but he does sit 2.
Yeah, pretty good shot there by Rylan.
Yeah.
Take another look at it here. Just a clean delivery. Great sweep.
Just as they expected, the yellow in the middle goes between the 2 reds. Jammed it a little bit solidly, and Matthew Hall had to be on the brush, but gets it through the back. So Brad Jacobs, if he's playing this turn, you have to think he's not content to just sit on the red and try to shrink the rings. You don't expect Rylan Kleiter to miss the 4-foot in the second end. So he's trying to come right around, probably a piece around the stone at the top of the button, sit half the button for shot rock, and force Rylan Kleiter to make a play on it. And then he does have that stone in the 12-foot will offer a little bit of protection for his shot if he can make
Not
this.
meaning to stop it there, Sean, but
he's just hitting the back one. Wow. Just got to concede the deuce.
Find that's a lot of the strategy Jacobs returns to now. He likes to get his 2 points early, start with the hammer, and then he tries to go control the game.
Yeah, he's just not going to give up the shot for you to get the 3, right?
Exactly. He wants to make sure he maintains in control, either tied with the hammer or up in the game.
Yeah, well, that made more sense. When I saw the broom down for the out turn, I was really surprised that he'd play the draw that way. I thought if he was going to draw, he'd play the same one he just threw, get somewhere near the face, and let him draw for 2. But
on the brush early here.
Any bite of the 8-foot is good. Come right down to his own stone in the 4-foot. Both skips with draws to the 4-foot to get their second points. We're all tied up after 2 ends of play. It'll be Brad Jacobs with the last rock once again in the third.
We asked Saskatchewan what they know about 5G.
More speed, more innovation.
It's going to make our lives a whole heck of a lot easier.
This is what 5G looks like.
Better, faster.
Sounds like 1 more G. Sounds pretty good.
I don't know what it means.
All you really need to know is the future of 5G is here and will continue improving through investments in network technology.
Join us this March for the House of Hearts Charity Bonspiel in Duluth, Minnesota. Help raise funds for Project Joy, who provides meals for hungry kids in our community. Every donation helps to ensure no child goes hungry. Join us and make a difference. Together, we can spread joy.
Hey Ben, what's the Aztec Safety online e-learning website again?
Yeah, that would be aztecsafety.com.
Fire extinguisher and firefighting, we'll send that one to Paul.
Ah, now here's a course I should probably take. Conflict resolution.
Power line safety.
Yeah, I thought it might help me with my line calls. Did you know this Aztec website has over 100 safety courses? Jeez. Aztec Safety Online Course. Ground disturbance. Could have used that a few seconds ago.
Well, first stone here in this third end brought into the rings. Brad Jacobs was having no part of just throwing the corner guard in the odd end this time. Makes the hit, rolls to the corner, and I was wondering if it was a delayed corner tactic. It is not. He's content to play this end through to the blank. When Kleiter hit it, they're going to hit it again. Ben Hebert with the hit will lose the shooter. That does give Kleiter the chance to throw the guard now, but this is the fifth stone of the end, and the Peels could start after this anyway. If Brad Jacobs wants hammer in the even end, and so many of these teams do, this is his chance to try to run this third end through for the blank and retain that last rock into the fourth. The call was for the tight guard. It slips into the 12-foot. Jacobs likely was going to be hitting it either way, but with it in the rings, he does have the chance to maybe try to hang around somewhere, biting the rings and force the Kleiter team to hit. With play in the rings now, both teams will be looking to stick around for a while, force the other team to have to hit the rock. It's something psychological about curlers, right? You don't want to give the other guy a chance to play a free draw. It's the third end of the championship final. Everybody knows draw weight by now, but you just hate to give the other team a chance to play a free draw. Trying to carve this one over. He's going to get a piece. I don't know if they're going to hang on with the shooter this time. It does hang on just at the edge of the 12-foot.
And that spot you want to roll to force your opponent into making a see if you can get a miss.
It is a tougher shot out there. I mean, I had the numbers once upon a time, and I should have saved them somewhere so I could pull them up at any time I needed to see it. But there have been stats kept that show that even at the top level, anytime you take the broom outside the edge of the 8-foot, there's a noticeable drop off in the percentages. And personally, my thought on it is it's just because it's in the newer style hacks, they're more geared to go straight down the ice. When you have to go wide, it's a little tougher to get out to the broom. I'm an older vintage player myself, let's put it that way. And our hacks when we used to play were dug into the ice, and if you had to go out to the corner, you were partly in the hacks, and the other part of your foot was actually on the side of the ice wall that was dug into the ice. You could get to the corners a little easier.
Yeah, it's just not really a normal shot to go out that wide, but these guys just make it look so easy.
I have to think and it's a few years ago when I saw those stats. And I have to think the percentages are getting higher just because with the slam ice and the conditioned rocks that they've gotten used to playing on, you're throwing out there with your draws more often. Like the broom is out into the 12-foot just to make a draw to the center line. If you've got 5 or 6 feet of curl, the broom's way out there. So it's becoming a shot that everybody's getting more comfortable with, I think, to have to throw wide. More comfortable than they were probably 10 years ago anyway.
Yeah, it's probably something they practice a lot as well.
No doubt. A lot of times, before they learned, and it's not that long, really. I mean, I was involved in starting the Players Association here in Saskatchewan in the early 2000s. And when we were surveying players at that time and we were talking about, what do we need to improve? And everybody was still talking about ice. We need ice that curls more. And so that's less than 25 years ago, and we're still talking about ice. And now there's a little bit more understanding. Ice isn't what curls, it's rocks that curl. So that's all, that knowledge is all, I mean, there were some people that knew it then, but it was more of a whispered secret. Now it's pretty common knowledge. Hey, if your rocks will curl, just make the ice flat. And so now, in those days when everything was straighter, you just never got the opportunity to throw that wide very often. Now that they've learned to do some things with the rocks to condition the surfaces, get some extra curl where you're throwing the draws with 5 to 6 feet of ice, you're thrown out to that wide corner a lot now. Teams continuing to exchange hits here. This is Rylan Kleiter. Makes the hit, unable to keep the shooter this time. No time clocks being used here in Swift Current, but Brad Jacobs already down at the other end as if he was trying to bank some time here.
This is a good time to say there is 3 other quarterfinal matchups going on the ice right now. Have Matt Dunstone with an early 2-1 lead over Brad Gushu. Brett Pierce up 2-1 over Mike McEwen. And John Epping up to an early 2-0 lead over Kevin Cooey. And just that free draw thing you were talking about earlier too, it just gives that skip a little bit of an advantage to see the path and be able to throw that path.
Yeah, that particular one, because boy, how many chances do you get in the course of a game to throw the draw to the corner and see what it does? You sure would like to think that, that's interesting to see Mark Kennedy back there. He's checking one rock. I don't know whether they think they might have one that runs a little differently, or maybe he thought he felt something under it when he threw it that end. To continue that on, you don't get that chance to throw to the corner as often as you do to the middle. And later on in the game, when you got a corner guard and you got to go around, you might only get the one chance to get around there good. So you get that free chance here to see how much it runs to the corner. Rylan with the hit, roll across, just across center to the other side of the button. Partly to change the shot, partly to make the rollout a little longer.
His shot they played the whole end for, so.
Brad Jacobs with his final. Looking for the hit and roll out. Retain that last rock advantage into the third end. A little bit of firm brush early, but that is a lot of weight and a lot of rotation. He makes the hit, rolls out easily. We've got a blank. Our first blank in this men's quarterfinal. Still 2-2 after 3 ends of play. It'll be Brad Jacobs Exactly what he wanted. Last rock in the even end coming back.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
Saskatchewan, you know Sasktel because we're everywhere. Because being everywhere keeps us connected to you. With Sasktel sponsorships, we get to be part of your community. We're here with you, and we're here for you. It's easy to get started. All you need to do is apply. Sasktel cares. Always has, always will. To apply for sponsorship, visit sastel.com/sponsorships.
Fourth end underway. We got the center guard to start things off and the corner guard to follow. Now the come around. We talked about that a little bit in the second end. This is how you expect to see an end like this start, but you can do it the other way around, where you throw the one into the rings first, see the corner guard, and then cover it. But Rylan Kleiter, I think, tried to do that in the third end and saw Brad Jacobs simply play the hit, run things through for the blank. I don't know if he would have done that here in the fourth. We're not going to find out. He threw the guard to start things off. Now Ben Hebert looking to come around from the intern corner, freeze that shot stone. Coming around from the intern side just because it'll cue everything up to roll towards the corner guard as well.
So this was the new slam rules here that they're trying out for the next Grand Slam. Jacobs would be ineligible to blank this end as well.
Well, he's eligible to blanket. He just would lose the hammer.
Right.
And I'm looking forward to seeing that. And that's where you'll see something like this. Kleiter threw the guard, and he didn't even think about coming around it. He was coming to the corner guard. Now, I think, and obviously here that rule's not in play, Jacobs is probably going to play that way in the even end anyway.
Yeah, I like to see curling try new things.
Personally, I think it was just getting to the point where it was time it had to be done. It's the hammer, really, I think most people would agree, it's seen as the offensive advantage, but really the way it's been used more often is it's used as a defensive advantage. We're going to use that hammer to make sure that we've got a chance for the blank. We're not going to, you'll see lots of teams, they'll take the easy deuce, but they're not going to try real hard to generate offense. They're just going to wait for a mistake. And it puts the onus on the team without last rock to try to force the offensive play. Well, they're already at an offensive disadvantage. So maybe this will help. It'll put the offensive team in a position where they have to push the envelope a little bit. Now, one thing that I hadn't thought of is what we just saw and what we were just sort of talking about. I hadn't considered this because it's only the second end that you can't blank. So what you're going to see now, I'm concerned, is everybody's just going to try to blank the third or the odd end and use the hammer in the even end. We're going to see a lot of blanked odd ends is what I'm suggesting.
Yeah.
It's not quite far enough to get them to go out of their comfort zone. You won't see multiple blank ends in a row, but you're going to see, and we'll see. I mean, I didn't think of that until we were having this conversation about this situation right here.
Yeah, I think you'll see a lot more teams be a little bit more aggressive, especially like, I don't know if you'll see as many blank ends knowing they don't have the opportunity, like if they don't have the opportunity to blank the next one, if that makes sense.
It does. I know what you mean.
That was a great shot.
Nifty little shot there to get the bonus, gets both guards, spins the shooter into the rings, and actually improved the position on his frozen stone in the front. I don't know how many points you can give for that. I don't know that they give 5s anymore, but if they did, you'd kind of have to give one there.
They get point Plinko.
You must mean the Drew Carey version. You can't possibly be old enough to remember Bob Barker.
Nope.
Makes the hit and a little roll behind. That's a nice little roll and tougher than they made it look easy, but the key there, you roll a piece underneath and it's still not lined up where if you hit the yellow, you can't touch the second red. Like you're rolling to a pretty precise piece of property to make that shot as well as he just did. It's a little thing, but it's not. You roll that 3 or 4 inches farther, he makes this run double and rolls behind the corner, and now Kleiter's in some trouble.
It makes Jacobs have to use 2 stones to get rid of the Kleiter stones instead of 1, and it does play a factor on that roll.
So Brett Gallant looking to come just across the face of his own, drive yellow onto red, and he'd like to roll the shooter all the way in behind the corner guard. This has got some moving to do. It's maybe the push stone they're trying to get in behind the corner. That's pretty good. They were more worried about getting the yellow stone separated. That's a very offensive shot. They're not worried about getting the red one out. They got a good spread on the yellow stones. They're sitting third. The yellows are sitting 2, the reds are sitting 2, but there is a thin double available and lots of time to deal with the reds. No guards to worry about. Viewers at home might have known that. I don't know how much you can hear on the YouTube feed. I should let you know that in the production window, I can't hear the YouTube feed at all. I can't hear the on-ice mics at all. So I could read lips a little bit. Some of the times you don't want to know what they were saying. We haven't seen any of those types of shots yet today. Rylan Kleiter has discussed all the possibilities, some of them twice now. His concern about hitting the third shot stone is there's a chance that Jacobs just plays the hit on shot, rolls another one in behind the corner, and then 3 is in play. If the corner guard's what's worrying them, maybe that's the one they should hit. That's what they've decided. So looking at the long double across, now really, they're playing the corner guard. If you get the one on the other side of the 12-foot, that's kind of a bonus. But the angle's not bad for it, so they're going to watch for it. It's a bonus, but it's important if you could clip that, because there's always going to be a chance to get the two reds out now. Makes the hit on the guard, comes across, and it will be over the top of the yellow stone. So nothing left in front now, just the 4-shot rocks in the rings. Kleiter sits 2 for the time being. Jacobs looking at making a hit on the shot stone, roll in front of the second shot stone at the back of the 8-foot. Still wouldn't leave any really easy doubles. Now, maybe the one from the one that's about to be thrown onto the one in the 12-foot, but that leaves an easy shot to sit 2. It's advantage Brad Jacobs here right now with all the play in the rings and yellow rocks spread out. Rylan Kleiter's going to have to be really careful if he's going to avoid giving up a deuce here, and possibly more than 2.
Yeah, definitely an opportunity here for Jacobs.
Didn't get as much roll as they would have liked, and a chance for Kleiter to roll back to the open side.
Yeah, and then he can make a better roll as well.
He does have looked at it. They've got the double onto the one on the outside edge of the 12. But the problem then is Jacobs hits the one at the back 8-foot, sits 2. You're going to have one chance probably at a double with rocks that are 8 feet apart.
Well, and if you ever miss this double here, Jacobs just noses the back one, and it's going to be a tough double back.
Yeah. Still, you'll have another chance at a double. You got to make a double somewhere along the line just to not give up 3. Makes the hit. He's going to roll across. Doesn't get the double, though, and actually left an easier one than he had to. Now, how much roll can Jacobs get back to the middle when he makes this double? Like, if he could get into the corner of the 4-foot, he doesn't have to leave either double easy. This one where they're going to throw a little bit more weight at the double because they want to get a little bit of roll, and he's got to hit this close to the nose. Makes the double. Does roll into the corner of the 4-foot, and there you can see it. Everything's pretty flat.
Yeah, just a really good roll there.
Probably the better angle for the double for Rylan Kleiter is the one in the corner of the 4-foot towards the one in the 12. The other one's pretty flat. Even this one's a little flat. All these top men's players can throw it hard enough to make this type of a double, though. Rylan Kleiter with his first. Facing 3, needs a double. He's only got 2 more chances to get it. I'd like to get it here on the first. Makes the hit, rolls across. He's going to touch it, not enough to get it out of the rings, though. Leaves his shooter in a pretty good spot. There's room for Brad to make the nose hit, drive it by. He's not going to get any separation, though. Still, if that's the only double that Rylan Kleiter's got left to play on his last one, Brad Jacobs will be happy with that. He's got shot rock in the 8-foot. Even if Kleiter makes the double, he's going to have a pretty easy shot for 2. And a double like this out in the wings is never a gimme. I'm conceding that he's going to make the nose hit. That's just how good these players are. He doesn't have a lot of room to maneuver either.
You're not wrong there, Sean.
If he hits just a sliver off the nose, he rolls out, but they just don't make those types of mistakes. The brushing's so good too. Like, he's going to throw this quieter weight and let the brushers maneuver it down the ice. So Rylan Kleiter will have the chance to make the double roll back to the middle, and that's just to hold Brad Jacobs to 2 here. Gonna throw it with some weight, try to roll far enough to at least make Brad have to play it. Inside brusher down right away. This is dangerously close to jamming it.
Oh,
and
no.
did. And rolls away. And you remember what I said about those stones outside the edge of the 8-foot and the percentages. You know, he didn't miss that by much, but it's just enough, right?
Yeah, it just looked a little tight out of the hand. How, don't know what sweeper that was, but they jumped it right out of their hand for the straight.
I probably should. I think it's Trevor Johnson because they've got the righty and the lefty brushing, so Josh should be on the other side. But you put ball caps on them all, and really, Matthew Hall's the only one that looks different, and it's just because he's a bigger body.
They're all jumping when they're sweeping too. Not much difference in their sweeping techniques here.
Well, one common theme through all the ends that we've had points on the board. Skip's drawn to the button with their last stone to get that extra point. A couple of deuces exchanged early. Now Brad Jacobs with the first 3 of the game. He's got a 5-2 lead here after 4 ends of play. Rylan Kleiter to have last rock once again in the 5th.
Hey Ben, what's the Aztec Safety online e-learning website again? Yeah, that would be aztecsafety.com.
Fire extinguisher and firefighting, we'll send that one to Paul.
Ah, now here's a course I should probably take. Conflict resolution.
Power line safety. Yeah, I thought it might help me with my line calls. Did you know this Aztec website has over 100 safety courses? Jeez. Aztec Safety online course. Ground disturbance. Could have used that a few seconds ago.
For over 20 years, the Sandra Schmirler Foundation has granted more than $9 million to hospitals across Canada for life-saving equipment for premature and critically ill babies. In the past 4 years alone, $4 million has been granted thanks to the curling community's incredible generosity. The need continues year-round, and with your help, we can ensure every baby has the chance to grow up and become a champion, just like Sandra.
We asked Saskatchewan what they know about 5G.
More speed, more innovation.
It's going to make our lives a whole heck of a lot easier.
This is what 5G looks like.
Better, faster.
Sounds like one more G. Sounds pretty good.
I don't know what it means.
All you really need to know is the future of 5G is here and will continue improving through investments in network technology.
Three-point lead for Brad Jacobs as we begin play here in the fifth to bring the first stone into the button area. Corner guard goes up, and they're going to throw a second one into the rings. This time, top 8. I could have almost pre-recorded these first 5 shots and then come back from grabbing a cup of coffee to call the 6th one, because you kind of knew this would be the script, right? You're down 3. The first 2 are coming into the rings. Rylan Kleiter is going to throw 2 corner guards. In this case, he's throwing them on opposite sides, and I've seen that a lot this weekend in Swift-Current. Haven't seen as much of the stacking the 2 corners on the same side this weekend. Brad Jacobs will bring another one to the middle. Now, he may throw this one as a guard because he's got a good setup in the house. Well, he's going to choke off the corner.
I think that's kind of part of the reason why those players do throw the double corners, because now you got these teams are starting to choke them off, and you throw them both on the same side, and then they make the choke off good. It gets tough for you to get around your corners now.
Yeah, it just means that you've got 2 rocks in the middle you got to deal with, and 1 on the corner that you still have to deal with because you need to open up your corner guard. Whereas if you put this third one in the middle, and especially on the men's side, the team's so good at making a lot of rocks fly if they have to, they could clean up the entire middle with 1 shot. Now, he did leave a double there. Rylan looking to keep some rocks around. Just going to try to tap that one back. So deal with the one on the corner first, have the shooter roll into the middle somewhere. Might force Brad Jacobs to kind of help you deal with the rocks in the middle a little bit. Like I said, you could almost pre-script the first 4 to 5 stones, and then that is where it gets interesting. This is always the fun part to watch. There's more than one way to try to manipulate rocks after this. And it's not just what you can do, it's what you can force your opponent to do. It gets really interesting. These teams so good at manipulating angles. Gets the tap on that yellow. It's out in the open, but it's behind the tee line. If you were to get one half around the corner guard now, that's a rock that you could jam on.
Yeah, it won't take long for Jacobs to just start ripping the corners here.
No, for sure. Not a lot of angle there, but there's enough that you might be able to get them both. Hard to get both guards and roll the shooter out.
Just like you said, Sean. Hard to get both rocks and your shooter.
Yeah. If he's a little thinner on the first one, he might get the back end of the second one. Maybe his shooter gets in, but that second rock just barely got to the boards as it is. So if you hit it any differently, you might have left a corner, wide corner, but you might have left it there. Matthew Hall now. I think the call was the split here. They want to push the red onto a frozen spot, or is this a straight draw? Again, when I can't hear them, sometimes it's hard to know what they're playing because they talk about all the options.
I think they were going for the split. Yeah.
Maybe just a little too thin, and boy, did they line that up where the yellow, red. No, they didn't. It goes under.
The right red also could jam into a yellow there, but can't tell fully.
Well, I think it
hard
goes
to
under.
See the angles through a screen. We'll see if Brad calls it.
Brad's looking at it.
Usually, if they see it, always making it, they know it's there.
I mean, you're definitely
you're
always getting one to go, but if you don't get the second one to go, I'm not sure that it helps you a lot because you're getting rid of everything off the middle except for the shot stone.
Yeah, pretty good shot there by Kleiter, though. I think they would have liked to kick the rock that they were.
If they could have hit it just a little thicker,
bit more.
Yeah, just a sliver thicker, just to push it so that the yellow, red, yellow was lined up, and then he probably stays in front of the tee line too.
Yeah. But he did get this one stone buried behind the corner guard.
Yes.
It's just a matter of fact if he lined them up here.
I look at the shot from behind the house, and it looks like it goes under. The overhead looks a little closer, and Brad looked at it, so it's got to be in the ballpark. I think the deciding factor here, though, is he doesn't really want to change that overlap at the top of the 8 if he doesn't have to. That's a shot. Kleiter has to deal with that at some point in time. You don't really want to break up that angle for him. You'd kind of be making a shot that would help Kleiter, even though you're moving one of his shots. Right now, he doesn't have a direct path to that stone in the button.
Yeah, I think this is a very mature call here to really put pressure on Kleiter and make him have to make a shot, then see if we get left something better.
Yeah, that's always a factor, right? You force him to make that shot, that delicate shot in the middle, and because he's got to play a delicate shot out there, there's a chance he leaves you double.
I think Kleiter will try something similar to what he just tried.
Yeah, the shot's still there. It's a little tougher now because it's you can't see quite as much of the red one now. You have to make sure you're by the yellow. This is going sideways. I don't know if he's making contact with the red. No, he's not. And they've adjusted the sweep call accordingly. This is now straight draw.
I think he lined it up now.
Yeah, probably. Certainly looks like it's making contact anyway. It almost looks like it could dead jam. It really depends. There's a little bit of air between the yellow and the red, so it kind of depends how you hit it. Like if you were ever to hit the yellow on the nose, I actually think it goes over the top. He's going to try to hit them in line. You'd like to leave the yellow in front of the shot stone if you could.
I think you need to drag just a bit. Like to the top of that red and go over the top of the back red?
Yeah. I don't know if you can. You almost want to hit them dead in line. And he did see that Brad was showing where they wanted to hit it. So it's just a sliver less than half. Drive the yellow onto the red. It'll leave the yellow right there. This is where you find out how many curlers spent way too much time in pool halls as a youth. 1, 2, catches the top end of the red, and just the 4 yellows left in the rings, the 1 corner guard. One more look at it.
How many times do you see a guy named Mark Kennedy do this?
Well, never more than twice an end. Well, I shouldn't say that. There's been a lot of three-handed play the last couple of years.
Yeah. What's your opinion there on the three-man play? I heard there's some people that think that it's an advantage. Some people think there's no way it's an advantage.
Yeah, I think a lot of the modern players do feel there's an advantage to it. Certainly there's an advantage from the throwers' end. When you're younger, I don't see the advantage of throwing three in an end because it just hurts to think about. But for these younger players where those three shots at end where the reps aren't hurting them as much, you just get extra throws. You're going to be throwing more accurately by the end of the game. And the way the sweeping has evolved where you're typically only using one sweeper most of the time. Now, it does mean you got to switch back and forth. I think the real decision maker as to whether or not it's an advantage for a particular team is how good your brushers are at switching sides. Because you see these brushers when they have to switch from one side to the other, when they're the only brusher, and some are better with the footwork than others. It's a tough thing to do when you're on a slider. A lot of guys have gone to the push slide method, which, I mean, I'm of the vintage. That's how we used to sweep anyway. We had corn brooms in our hand, then they started brushing, and we just turned our hands over us and used a brush instead of a corn broom. Well, we were usually push slide then anyway. And the prevailing research right now is you get more downward pressure on that brush head if you sweep closed with a slider. So a lot of guys are going that way, and that's where you see a lot of these teams that have formed up with a right and left-hander. They've just got them on their natural sides that way. It's tough to switch sides when you got a slider on.
Yeah, I guess the big icon moment there was when Brad Gushu did it at the Briar a few years ago with Brett Gillette, who's in this game with Jacobs today.
That's the first time. And by my recollection was it wasn't the entire Briar. Didn't Mark get sick midway through?
Yeah.
Can't remember. But then you see
I
last
think it was
year.
Towards in their last 5 or 6 games, I think Gillette was by himself.
And last year we had an issue with Ontario. Scott Howard played the entire tankard three-handed, won the Ontario tankard, goes to the Briar. In Saskatchewan here, I was doing the call in Saskatchewan. We had two teams. One was shorthanded the entire event. The other one had someone away on personal issues for the first couple of days, and it was quietly. Nobody had said anything about it. And then I was talking to somebody, and they pointed out that at this point in time, the teams that were playing shorthanded it was early on in the event. Between the two of them, they were something like 7-1 or 8-0, something like that. And it's just quietly over the last couple of years, it's become an issue that some of the organizing bodies are looking at. Should it be allowed?
Yeah, it's one of those things that's hard to prevent either, too.
Well, it's not hard to prevent. You just put a rule in place that you can't play with less than 3 or less than 4. It's already in place in mixed. You can't play without 2 in doubles. You can't even have a substitute in doubles. If your original 2 players aren't there, you default. It's not hard to put a rule in place. Once upon a time, and this is actually before my time, but I am aware of it. If you went to a Bonspiel, for instance, then you did lose a player. If you were shorthanded, you could pick up a sub who didn't have to throw, because in a lot of times that was a player from the local club. So you'd have a 4th player who only swept.
Yeah, I guess
the rules have changed over time already. Yeah.
It's one of those things here. Well, anyways, great roll there by Kleiter. Leaves it a little bit open on the wide side.
Yeah, still room to get at it. Not sure. The red at the back and the yellow on the other side. I would say the red at the back is probably out counting it. Now, that doesn't matter a lot. He's only cutting out 1 if that's the case. If Brad
I don't think that's going to come into play.
Well, if Brad can get to this, he can still sit 5.
Oh, yeah.
If he gets to the nose of it, he probably makes the double and sits 6. Rylan Kleiter will have an open shot in the middle with his last stone to try to pick up the single, but there's a lot of shrapnel around there if you ever happen to roll out. Let's put it that way. Boy, they jumped the brush on this right away. He does have to make sure he's by the guard. They're backed away now, so it looks like they held it enough to make sure they were by. Makes the tap just through the back, so certainly sitting at least 5. Rylan Kleiter does have the last rock. Matthew Hall looking around. Are you sure none of these are red?
Yeah, he's thinking, what the heck happened here?
Who ordered all these lemons? So Rylan Kleiter with his final stone and that shot stone on the button. He's going to have to make the play on it. Always just a little bit more nervous when you roll out. It's the game.
Just a clean here.
Makes it right on the nose, stays for a piece of the button himself, does get the single point. Brad Jacobs leading this men's quarterfinal by a score of 5-3 after 5 ends of play, and he's going to have last rock in the 6th.
So with the impact to my business and income, will this delay my retirement?
I know you're worried, Marshall, but based on the original plan we came up with, you're only about 6 months behind.
I thought it would be years, not months.
You should feel good. Remember, you've got a plan.
Thanks.
With change comes questions. See the impact of your money decisions before you make them with RBC Wealth Plan.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's Ice Pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best brew in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution.
Wrong side. Sixth end just underway here. The first stone brought into the top of the button area. Jacobs wants no part of rocks in the front of the house. Or actually, this is the third stone of the end. They must have brought the first one into the rings and Jacobs hit it. Oh no, there's the guard. It didn't show up on the overhead. It was a very long guard to start things off.
Yeah, Jacobs' top button there.
Yeah. That makes more sense.
Think it's all out for the still now for Kleiter?
Well, you have to think so if they've gone to the long guard. And, you know, I'll say this. It's a good long guard because it's not in the overhead. It's in play, but it's not on camera. That's been the deciding factor. That's how you can tell if a guard's long or not. Even an end like this, you can almost call it scripted. You know, you throw You're going to throw 2 guards. Now, some teams will play the tight one first or the long one first. It depends on personal preference. With the no-tick zone, it doesn't matter as much anymore as long as you put it on the center line, right? You know that Jacobs is going to come around to the top of the house twice. Rylan Kleiter is going to have to come around now and try to get this. This rock's got to be in a good spot, whether he's corner frozen, whether he taps. Corner freeze probably looks like it's the most available right now. And it's got to be in a good spot because this is the 5th stone of the end. The peels on the guards start after this. You've got maybe 2 shots to try to get a good one in there. One will be now. After they peel the guard, you might replace the guard for a few more and just have them waste a few rocks peeling. And then you'll get one more shot later on while you've still got a guard. Comes down, nudges the yellow, puts it behind the tee line. Rolled out just enough that Brad can get to the inside of that stone, roll under cover, so they're going to make the play on the rock and the rings. Well, Brad's talking about the rock and the rings. Everybody else wants to peel the guard. You're never wrong to peel the guard in this spot. But Brad's got a good point. You make the hit and roll.
Yeah, I do see where Brad's coming from, though.
Yeah, it's you still need, Kleiter still needs 2 good shots at least, and he might need 3 because you've got that one in the back corner of the button.
But I think you peel now, and Kleiter's still got to do something with the rock at the back of the button too.
Well, you know, part of what might be at play here is exactly what I just said. If Rylan Kleiter's not making another play in the rings right away, he's going to throw guards. You're going to have a couple of chances to peel. You could delay the decision on playing the rock in the rings. Now, when I say that, watch Rylan Kleiter go in there and make the play in the rings right away. But you make the play in the rings right away, the other guard's gone, and now you're trying to hold on to it all end. I just think you have to throw a guard here.
It's almost too predictable.
Yeah, the part that becomes hard to predict, and this is the cat and mouse, and this is where it's fun to watch, is what point in the end does Rylan make the play in the house? And that'll be the Jacobs team. They'll be trying to decide that. Like, you have to make, you want to make the play before the other team, but you don't want to make it so early that they have time to deal with it. And both teams are thinking that way. Rylan Kleiter doesn't want to make the play in the house any earlier than he has to because it gives Brad Jacobs too much time to blast things out. They both know how they're thinking. They both know to an extent how their opposition is thinking. And it for me anyway, it makes these situations very interesting because both teams, it's who's going to blink first. And did you move too early? Did you move too late?
Yeah, well, definitely. I think Kleiter has the wide draw right now. To freeze the back yellow. It's
Maybe
hard to tell.
just, I think he'd have to move it, which is fine. I mean, he could move it and sit 2. Tough to think he steals like that, though. He's got the tap on the other side, too. But again, I don't think he's playing any of those shots early.
Nope.
Which I think factored into why the rest of the Jacobs team wanted to peel guards for now. They make the double peel on this one. Leaves the long guard.
Time to give a little score update on the other quarterfinal games. Got a tie game between Matt Dunstone and Brad Gushu at 3-3. Mike McEwen and Brent Pierce are also tied at 3-3. And Epping and Cooey are also tied but this time at 2-2. So, bunch of great games out there on the ice today. See a little wide shot of the building. Fans on the ice. 2 spots sit downstairs, upstairs to view the games.
Yeah, they do bring the bleachers out for this event every year. It does mean they're down to a 5-sheet facility for the weekend, which it creates a few challenges for the draw makers as far as the ice assignments. I don't know whether it's just psychological because I've done that job too, and it's just easier to deal with an even number of sheets, but they made it work. Made it work even with an odd number of teams. They had 17 teams on the women's side. 20 here on the men's. The women's play started Thursday, concluded last night. The men's started Friday. The triple knockout portion ended last night. That was the final nail in the coffin of the teams that didn't make the playoffs here this morning. Rylan looked at a lot of things here before they settled on this call. I think with the double peel and that only guard now being long, they kind of have to throw a tight guard here. That long guard by itself isn't going to help you that much.
I think that'll be the last draw you see here by Kleiter. Guard, I should say.
I'm not sure it will be, but we'll see. It depends on what Jacobs does with this one. He could just peel the tight guard because you can see a piece of it.
Well, Jacobs got Kleiter both ways with that top 8 yellow right now as well.
Yeah, if you were going to... you could play that right now if you were going to play it.
I think it's still the peel here, but they're going to have a talk about it.
Can he get to enough of the redstone in the rings directly? It will finish there.
Well, I just don't see why you'd want to do that right now.
Well, it's if you think that that's the next play for Kleiter, it's the only reason you're not peeling is if you think they're coming in on the next one and maybe you should do something first. So they're going to peel the long one. In this case, I think they're thinking if they leave the little tap for Kleiter, the long guard is actually the one protecting the yellow in the 8-foot, and if he makes the little tap, you're going to have it available as long as you peel the long one.
See one more guard here for Kleiter.
Yeah. Yeah, I expected him to throw one more. It'll be interesting because if you put the guard in the same spot and they just peel it again, you could almost make the double on the yellows, and you wouldn't likely throw it with weight. You'd throw it with enough to put both of them behind the tee line. You might even put one of them in behind that redstone in the 4-foot. The problem with the little angle slash, and even as a tap up, is there's still going to be that yellow at the top of the 8-foot that could be run in against you. There's going to be options, lots of options. That's why this part of the game is fun. Fun to watch. It's nerve-wracking to play.
I've been on both ends of it. I think it's more nerve-wracking to watch, especially if you got an outcome you want in the game.
Yeah, I'm announcing. I don't have a dog in the fight. I want to see good shots. and as a guy who used to skip myself, and I don't know if the viewers necessarily agree, it slows the game down when they start getting into these tactical discussions, but I find that part of it very interesting. It's one of the things that the 5 rock free guard zone has brought into the game too. That's part of why it's slowed down, is that, I come from an era where a lot of times there were no strategy decisions. It was pretty obvious. This is what you have to play. And now there's a lot of shots at play. We can sit here and discuss, same as we would at a curling discussion. Well, at a curling club, I would play this. You might play that. I wonder what these guys are going to play. Like, there's options, right? and it makes it
Yeah.
very interesting.
And each team's got to be careful to not leave the other team open the door.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I still see an appeal of the tight guard.
Yeah, I don't think he wants to peel the tight guard now. He left it there for a reason. And the issue, I think part of the issue is that it's the other guard that's taking away the yellow at the top 8 foot, and he needs that yellow. The tight red guard's not taking a shot away from Brad Jacobs.
Yeah.
He's going to peel the long one because he always wants the chance to promote that yellow in the 8 foot. And it's an interesting setup in the house where it's almost at the point where Kleiter, he's got a tough time play. The obvious shot that he's got is the red onto the yellow. And again, doesn't have to do it with weight. He could just split it over there to try to freeze it. But it's a tough shot, and there's such an easy run back on that stone. He's going to throw in more guard, and I'm not surprised by this. Or is he playing the tap on the yellow now? He might be playing that tap I talked about. Yellow, straight back, clip the other one, and try to have it roll over in behind the red.
Or is he trying to freeze on? I guess you freeze the yellow, you leave a run double there.
Yeah. He's playing the tap. Nose tap on the yellow. Doesn't need to get either one of them out of the rings. He'd like to get them, half in the 4 foot so that his stone at the top 4 is shot, but he wants to leave them back there where there's possibility of jams and leave his shooter in a spot where he's got another rock to work with on his last one.
Big shot here for Rylan Kleiter.
Yeah. Just waiting on the line. He wants to get close to the nose. Starting to curl now. Should be close. Really close. Makes the tap. Gets it through the port. Actually leaves it just behind the button. That's a pretty good shot. He's got 2 ways to tap rocks into that pocket. Brad Jacobs has the double on the reds, but then he leaves a direct path to the pocket.
I think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Perfect tap, right to back button, right where you wanted it. Perfect weight and just great management by the sweepers and Matthew Hall calling the line.
And I'm not surprised as we come back from the replay to see all 4 players standing down there looking at this. Like, he's got the double on the reds. The problem is that actually makes things worse for Brad Jacobs because he freezes to the pocket. And I don't know if you can get him out. It's probably a steal.
Yeah, they're probably thinking they listened to you earlier and made the first move in the rings.
They did have the one chance where it's tough. This is tough. Could you get with a tap back? Could you get to the stone at the top of the 4 foot? You'd have to get to the nose of it at least. You don't mind moving one of those yellows back there, actually.
Can't even guard.
No, there's 2 shots. What do you guard?
Both ways.
Yeah, I don't think you're ever guarding with last rock.
You ever just
2 stones at the back of the button
you
anyway.
ever just try to freeze the inside of that top 4 stone? A little bit risky.
What does that change? Like, you still got the tap back on the one on the 8 foot. You're never getting to the inside enough that you're blocking the tap back.
I think he's gonna try the double here.
Yeah, the thing about the double is there is a chance if you hit the second one right, you could clip one of those yellows, lose it, which at this point in time wouldn't bother him. You play the double, have it
They'll
spin
still
over the
leave
top.
the freeze on
It'll leave the
back button still.
Yeah, it will. But without a pocket there, you might at least be able to move it enough to score one. Like with the pocket back there, if you make this double, don't touch any of the yellows, and he makes the freeze, it might be a steal. I don't know if there's any way to move it.
Just a great shot by Rylan Kleiter.
You know he won't be light. Big weight here. Makes the hit, catches one, does touch the second yellow stone. Gets it all the way out. So Rylan Kleiter now with the one stone in the rings to freeze to, and just one guard protecting it. One more look at this run.
Outturn peels. Is that not in Brad's Brad's book right there? He's not gonna miss that very much.
Still a chance to get out of trouble here for Rylan Kleiter if he can lock the freeze on. It's going to be a tough shot for Brad Jacobs still just to score. Might not have a shot for the blank either. This has got a lot of room. Trying to carve it over. This is going to tap a little bit though, and when it does, he actually stays out in the open. There's room for Brad Jacobs to come down, tap that through, and pick up his deuce here. Final stone, sixth end. Brad Jacobs already with a 2-point lead. If he can make the delicate tap back here, pass it by his own stone at the back of the 8-foot, could pick up another 2 points here. Would be a commanding lead after 6. Already sweeping for Curl. He's got to get close to the nose to pass it by his own. Still out there. It's trying to curl. He'll touch the yellow on the way by, but it's enough to pass it through. Put 2 more points on the board for the Jacobs team. They now lead by a score of 7-3 after 6 ends of play. A well-deserved round of fist pumps, and Rylan Kleiter will have some work to do when we come back for the 7th.
We asked Saskatchewan what they know about 5G.
More speed? More innovation?
It's going to make our lives a whole heck of a lot easier.
This is what 5G looks like.
Better, faster.
Sounds like one more G. Sounds pretty good.
I don't know what it means.
All you really need to know is the future of 5G is here and will continue improving through investments in network technology.
Hey Ben, what's the Aztec Safety online e-learning website again?
Yeah, that would be aztecsafety.com.
Fire extinguisher and firefighting, we'll send that one to Paul.
Ah, now here's a course I should probably take. Conflict resolution.
Power line safety. Yeah, I thought it might help me with my line calls. Did you know this Aztec website has over 100 safety courses? Jeez. Aztec Safety online course. Ground disturbance. Could have used that a few seconds ago.
Well, as we begin play here in the seventh end, the phrase that comes to mind, desperate times call for desperate measures. You see the first one brought into the top of the forefoot, and then the Kleiter team with last rock throws the center guard, and this is because of the no-tick zone. They put that stone on the center line so that it can't be moved, and I think part of that comes from a shot that we've seen kind of make its way into four-player curling that started out in doubles play, where if you throw that corner guard, they'll try to come from the outside, push it into the rings, then you've got one you could hit on the next attempt. So you got to put that stone on the center line so they can't get rid of your guard. You might see them throw a more traditional corner now, but it's tough to get separation. He's actually going to look to come to the back of the 8th, but I'd like to have two guards myself. Yeah, he's going to go back to the corner. It's tough to score 3 with only one guard, and a deuce doesn't really help Kleiter here. So Trevor Johnson throwing the guard, intern side. It's important to get these even, because when the double peels, or when the peels are able to start, you don't want this in a spot where a double peel is going to be easy.
Yeah, I think later in the end, you see a little bit of a mistake by Ben Heber to stagger those stones a touch, because you might see Kleiter use them later. They're not really staggered, but they might be staggered just enough.
Well, they're close enough together, you could always use the drag to get to anything that's behind them too, but can't do that yet. Or maybe just talking about that they think there's a possibility to do that later. No, he was talking about doing it now, and then he had to look to the back corner. Yeah, there's only 4 rocks down here. We're going to play the draw. You know, you could throw the corner guard on the second one, because if they play the push into the rings on the second one, well, it's no big deal. They could have hit on the 6th stone anyway. But it does mean that your guards are a little closer together than had you split the rings. So, you know, for Rylan Kleiter, they've got to try to dodge that double peel. It's going to try to come right around everything. Thought they might come around the corner first, because this might be the only time when that corner guard's still there.
To anyone watching, don't forget to like and subscribe to Curling Stadium. Helps bring all the curling action every weekend to your needs, and gives you notifications when you're looking to watch curling.
Makes the draw to the back of the button. Brad lining up just how much they need to hit to clip the second one. Probably he had gestured once to try to go over the top and hit them all out. I think it's probably easier to get to the back end of the second one and try to get the shooter to squirt all the way through. Oh, just missed the back end of the second guard. So going to try to bring another one now all the way to the back, 12 foot this time, just to get around that stone in the back button.
A little bit of a score update here. Dunstone 4-ender in the 6th end to take a 7-3 lead over Brad Gushu. Brett Pierce took a single point to go up 4-3 over Mike McEwen. And John Epping also took a single point to go up 3-2 over Kevin Cooey.
Really working the brush here. Has to get by that stone at the back of the button. Just rubbed off. It didn't quite have the weight they needed. And can Jacob see enough of that to make the double? Like there's air. He's actually looking at hitting the one on the back of the button first, but I think you could make it the other way. There's no port. At the very least, you'd pop it out into the open. That's not bad either. Brett Gallant, it's another one of those ones where you can safely say he's not going to be light on this. Actually, I think we're on the third stones. This is Mark Kennedy throwing now. If you just clip the red one on the button first, you make the double that way. If you just miss that one, you come off the other one and clip the one on the button. Gets it thin, gets the second one, rolls the shooter all the way out of play.
Mark Kennedy with this nice low slide there and just clean release straight to the broom. There's not much of that red stone you could see to hit here. And
there isn't, but I think part of what makes it a more comfortable throw for them. I think he could make the double either way that time. If he just gets by it, he probably kicks it out the side anyway. The problem then is he might leave his shooter there. That's not as good. Rylan Kleiter still has those stones to come around. The problem for him, though, is he needs to try to find a way to put 3 stones on the scoreboard. He's only got 4 left to come. And this one's not going to get by.
Yeah, it also leaves a little bit of an opportunity for Jacobs to move some of his stones.
Do you just blow it up? Yeah, I think that's what they're looking at. Yeah, honestly, I think the only yellow that stays is the one that's fully in the 8 foot. Every other rock
one in the middle.
Every other rock probably goes, right?
Mark thinks having a discussion about this.
Yeah, I think
he just wants to see the angles here.
Well, it could be that, or the discussion could be part of, do we even need to do this? Like, Kleiter's got the same problem. That stone at the top of the 8 foot's never going to leave. How does he score more than... You'd give him 2 if you had to. I think you're playing this anyway. But, if that's the discussion point, it's valid in that Kleiter's only got 3 rocks left to play. And how's he ever scoring even 2 right now? Knowing that rock at the top of the 8 foot's not going anywhere.
Yeah, he's going to need a 0 out of one of these last 3 stones for Jacobs.
that stone in the 8-foot didn't even, the handle didn't even spin. Like it didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, he did leave a little bit of a pocket there on that side for Kleiter.
The pocket's no good. He's got to be on the corner. If you're on the pocket, you're never going to get it. It's too late in the end to deal with the Yellowstone that would be behind it. You got to stay on the inside corner so you're second. You got to be second.
It makes it harder for Jacobs to pick it out or anything like that.
Yeah, we're late enough in the end. He might not have to. If you don't get second shot, for sure he doesn't have to. They'll just sit 3, and how do you deal with it with only 2 rocks left? That one's probably out of no longer a factor. You got to stay on the inside corner on this. Now, having said that, if you get to set up right on the inside corner, it actually gives you a way to double the yellows too, because you can come off your own if you're sitting right on the corner, kill both yellows that way. Not a shot you'd play to your last one, but at least you'd have something. This is plan B. He was a little light on the last attempt. This is a little strong, so now trying to come around it. He's by it. Now is it going to stop? Yeah, it comes all the way to the back 12. He's sitting 3rd shot right now. Jacobs already sitting 2. Could play the run on the yellow that's just biting the 12-foot. That rock's not really helping him. If he could use it to kill the one at the back of the 12. He could just draw and sit 3 somewhere. But you got to be careful not to leave doubles.
Yeah, there might be a double on that middle 8-foot to the left one there.
There might be, but he can't. Rylan Kleiter can't really play it on the first one because it would leave a double back.
I think you'll see him try this slash on this 12-foot stone.
I think so. I mean,
could also just come down and freeze to it. Same shot that Kleiter just
did. Then Kleiter follows it.
But then it's only a max 2, and I'm sure he's more than happy with that.
Yeah, this slash looks pretty makeable on that Yellowstone. It's not a stone he needs. It's not helping him. So may as well use it here. Going to be a little too far inside. Drives it by the one at the back. Compounding the issue here for the Kleiter team is that 2 really isn't good enough. Like you could make a freeze here, corner freeze, and know that you have a shot for the double, but if Jacobs plays another one in, you need a triple, so you have to move one here.
I kind of like what he's suggesting right there. It's about coming off the wide one, then sit 2 buried.
Yeah, I'm not sure how buried the back
make that double off the wide one, and
might be, yeah.
Leave the wide open 8-foot stone.
Yeah, it's hard for Jacobs, even if he decided to throw a draw with that stone being at the top of the 8-foot. There's probably no place you could draw in the rings where you wouldn't have some kind of double off that.
I think that double just leaves it open.
Yeah, it's pretty flat to think. They talked about the spin up, but to get the spin up, you got to be on the front half of the second stone, and it's pretty tough to get into the front half of that stone. I mean, you maybe could. Boy, you'd have to throw a bullet. It helps you a little bit that if you throw it with the out turn, you're going to get the gear effect. I guess you don't necessarily, if you play that way, don't necessarily have to get the second one all the way out. You only need to push it 6 inches or so to be sitting 2. So maybe you could sit on the corner of it, but they're going to go back to the initial call, which is it's kind of the draw weight split almost, where you try to tap the Yellowstone far enough over that you're sitting, I guess it would be third at the back, and then he wants the shooter to come all the way into the button area behind the yellow. Back button area, ideally. I mean, you're hitting the first one fairly thin if you're playing a draw weight split, so you get a steep roll, it'll have some separation. On the brush, he's got to get by the guard first. Just by the guard. He's going to be a little thicker on that Yellowstone than they probably would have liked. He gets the tap enough that he's sitting second and third, but left the shooter wide open.
Yeah, it just looks a little tight there. I think he was going for the roll buried.
Well, I thought he was. That was not a lot of weight for the roll. It may be just light more than anything else.
We could be wrong about the call here, too.
Well, could be. Maybe he thought he could get to enough of that to kind of stay cornered in front of it, but it didn't get the finish for that. I thought the first call, they did gesture to come behind to roll behind the center, and I thought that was makeable, but that probably wasn't the weight he needed to make that. Probably 6 or 7 feet light. Jacobs can see all of the red and a little bit of air. Needs to hit it just a little bit on the high side, the broom side, to make the double, even if he just gets the single.
Electing to throw the out turn here, which I find is interesting.
And then sweeping for curl right away. Makes the hit. Does just rub the second stone enough that he sits 3 for now. I mean, the triple might be there. Not that way, I don't think.
Matt Hall's like,
yeah,
nice suggestion there, Rylan, but I think
doesn't this one work easier? Yeah. Well, the other one's pretty well lined up. The difficulty is going to be not touching the red on the way by, and it's still only for 2.
Should be close.
The other shot.
Their worry is that it spins up a little bit and could spin out. I don't know how lively the stones are in Swift Current, but
fairly lively. But I mean, here's the other thing. You play the other one first. I'm pretty sure you could touch all 3. I think they're pretty sure you could touch all 3 too. So that shot's possible. I don't know that this shot's even possible. You're asking to come off the Yellowstone, catch another Yellowstone, and still continue to going left. It's not going to go left. It's going to come straight back.
I think they realize that they're only getting max. Well, I guess they get 2 here. So.
I think they've already got the Velcro undone. Makes the hit, misses the second one. It's going to be a steal of 2, and the gloves come all the way off. Brad Jacobs will pick up the win here in this men's quarterfinal. It goes into the books as a 9-3 final. He will move on to the semifinal, scheduled to start in about, I had the times in front of me. Where is it all written down here? Scheduled to start in just over an hour now, an hour and 20 minutes away. We will have all the action for you. A couple of quarterfinals still on right now. You can go check the other streams to catch those games, and the semifinals will be set at 12:30 local time, an hour and 20 minutes. We will have all the action for you. Commentary on all of the games today, right through to the men's final later on this afternoon. behalf of myself, Sean Joyce, my broadcast partner and producer, Connor Sims, pulling double duty this morning. We want to thank you for joining us for this quarterfinal matchup. Thank you for joining us all weekend long and all season long thus far on the Curling Stadium, and a couple of draws left to go here from Swift Current.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's Ice Pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best brew in the game. Hardline, join the revolution.